Yo, look at this. I done forgot how to go live. Ain't got no light on my face. What's up, people? Welcome to the channel where we talk about music licensing, music production, and music business. If you love any of the previously mentioned, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all my latest content. Shout out to everybody that's in the room so far in the stream. Shout out to Sagara Productions. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What's good? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. It's been a minute. I'm happy to be back. Hopefully everybody had dope holiday season, dope new year. I'm super excited to get back to it and just get back on the grind, man. So super dope stuff. For the people coming in, man, let me know where you guys are from. Let me know what you do. Let me know if you have any questions. Today, I'm gonna drop a few tips for anybody who's kind of on their road to getting TV placements and want to learn how to get into sync licensing, music licensing, you know, things like that. I'm gonna give you some major things, some major keys to avoid when trying to get started in music licensing. These are some big mistakes that I see a lot of producers make, a lot of artists, songwriters, and things like that. So I'm gonna share some of those with you guys today, and then of course, you know, if you guys have questions along the way, you can just ask me. But let me see who we got in the building. We got Sound Legacy Music from Omaha, Nebraska. What's good? Good to see you back in the stream. Happy New Year. Alvin Alexander, Happy New Year, man. Good to see you. Isaac Daniel from Memphis. What's good? Greetings from Florida. That's what's up. Shout out to Florida. Man, was in Florida a couple months ago. It was super dope. It was vibes. I thought it was gonna be raining the whole time, but it wasn't. Yo, let me tell you what happened though. Like, so we get to Florida. We was in Florida. I was doing producer mentorship, right? So we had what do you call it? We had like, I don't know. We had like one of the penthouses like rented out or whatever in this tower, like right off the beach, right? Super dope view. So we get there, like me and my bro, like we were the first ones to pull up. So we get there and like we're walking in the joint, like I pull up and it's like dark. So I'm like, man, like this place must be like a major vibe. Like they got the lights dimmed all the way. Like it was so dark. I walked in there and I'm like, yo, like I low-key can't even see. Like it's so dark. Like I had a flashlight. I keep a flashlight on me, but I had to pull out my flashlight. I'm like, yo, like I'ma literally run into something. It's so dark in here. Like why don't they turn the lights on? So I walk to the front desk and like it's loud and it like they had fans blowing and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, like what happened? I forgot. Like they had some crazy weather. Like, man, I think it was like earlier that day or like the day before, where they had like crazy winds and some rain and stuff like that. So it had like, it was like a small flood, but then I guess the power had went out. Like they had a power outage like literally like 30 minutes before we got there. So that's why it was super duper dark. So we couldn't even get up to we couldn't get to our spot. It was like on the, I think it was like on the 24th floor or something like that. The only way up was like to walk up steps, 24 flights of steps. So we was like, yo, we just gonna grab something to eat and meet up with everybody, just grab something to eat and then just, you know, wait it out, see what happens. So we waited out. We had something to eat, we chilled, we chopped it up. And so we went back and like the power was still out. I guess like the power crew was like down the street working on it or whatever, because it was like it was multiple towers where the power was out. So they finally, like it finally came on, but it was like it was crazy when the power came back on because the elevators wasn't working right. A bunch of people was going up and down, up and down. Like it was so bad. Like we literally got to the point where we was just like, yo, grab some stuff. And then we just walked up 24 flights of steps, bro. Like when I tell you my legs, my thighs, my calves, like my pinky toes, like everything was aching, yo. Like I was gonna work out the next morning. I was like, nah, like workouts canceled. This was my workout. 24 flights of steps. It was insane. It was crazy. Like but it was cool, man. We laughed about it. We had a good time and definitely passed out after that. So it was crazy, man. It was crazy. It was an adventure, but it was a vibe, man. Shout out to Miami. Miami was super dope. Shout out to the producers. We one of the producers, we already like we worked on some sync stuff, and that stuff has been pitched and accepted into a music library. So hopefully we see some placements from that, so it should be super duper dope. But yeah, Felicia Rogan, what's good? Welcome to the stream. Yes, it was definitely 24 flights. It was crazy. So yeah, so it's crazy. So listen, let's talk about these 4 things I want you guys to avoid if you're trying to get started in sync licensing in 2022. Like I want to see you guys be successful on this road, on this journey, and see you avoid the pitfalls that I see a lot of people just fall into because they don't take the time to learn the business. And I mean, to some extent, like there's a lot more information on this stuff today than it was like when I first got started, but there's still a lot of people who don't really fully understand how to navigate the sync licensing space. So the first one is going to be, don't bombard non-targeted music libraries with unsolicited music. Like that is a huge one. Like, so I have a music licensing directory, right, of like over 100 music libraries. And shout out to D Nast Productions, was good. So I have a library, right? But like what I don't want you all to do is like take those contacts and just just blast everybody with the same email with MP3 attachments and stuff like that without doing the prior research on these companies. Like you can't skip the research process. A lot of people want to go from like 0 placements to like, I just want to send my music. I just want them to use it and place it. And it's just like, I get it, But it's not going to happen if you don't take the time to do the research. If you don't take the time to go to the music library, the company, music licensing company, do your research, see what kind of music they use, see if they're even accepting submissions, because some companies, they may close that window for submissions because they're trying to catch up on all the other submissions they had, you know, over the year or the past month for that matter. So go to each company's website and thoroughly go through, play some of the tracks they have. If they have genres related to the genre of music that you produce, make sure, you know, it's a good fit, because you may come across a library, they focus on movie trailer music, right? But you're trying to break into, you know, instrumental background music for reality shows or something like that. So it's not going to be a good fit. Like if you're sending a, you know, 2-minute piece of music formatted for background instrumental use, and this company specializes in movie trailers, right? That's a totally different format, different vibe, structure altogether. So make sure you take the time to do your research on each and every company before you submit. Also, they may have like a submission page to where you can just submit right there on their website, or they'll have a submission email already listed out to where all you have to do is like, okay, they're accepting submissions because they say send it to this email. Now you have the email address to submit it, versus reaching out to them through their contact page or just blasting the email out asking, yo, like, are you accepting submissions? If it's on their website and they say send submissions here, then you don't have to ask if you're accepting submissions. You know what I mean? So that, like, that's solicited in that instance. So just making sure, you know, you're doing all the research before you hit them up, asking questions, sending music. You're going to increase your chances of, you know, something sticking and a good relationship being started by doing that research prior. So I see the new people in, man. For the new people coming in, what's good? Let me know where you guys are from and what you do. It's a live Q&A. I'm giving you guys 4 things to avoid if you're trying to get started in music licensing and getting your music placed in TV and film. And of course, it's a live Q&A. So we're going to do, you know, answer some questions and things like that. Uplifted Productions, what's good? Happy New Year, Broadway Blake. Good to see you, bro. Ant Groove Muse, what's up? Happy New Year. All is well, man. Happy to be back. It's been a minute. I almost forgot how to stream, but we figured it out. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's the first thing. Don't bombard non-targeted music libraries with unsolicited music. Second thing, don't be annoying with the follow-up. Like, don't submit music today and then like tomorrow at 2 p.m. you're like, yo, did you listen yet? Did you listen? The next day, did you next week? Did you listen yet? Did you listen? Like, don't do that, bro. Like, they will blacklist you and your emails will never be opened again. You don't want that to happen. So this is how, this is how I recommend following up. Give them some time. You know, people are busy, right? These companies are busy. Music supervisors are busy. Send that first batch of music once you get permission, and then give it like a month or so. Like, give it a month. See if you hear back. See if you get some feedback. If you don't hear anything back in a month, then follow up. But don't just follow up and ask like, yo, did you listen yet? Follow up with some new music. So like a new playlist of like 5 tracks, especially if they already gave you the go ahead to submit some stuff. That way, when you follow up, you're like, yo, hey, just wanted to send you a new batch of tracks. You know, looking forward to hearing back from you, blah, 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 like whatever you want to say. But it's showing them like, yo, like, I'm still working. I'm not waiting on you, but I'm kindly reminding you by giving you value first, by giving you some more music that you can use, and then reminding you that I sent the first batch of music a while back and I still ain't heard nothing back. So what's up? That's a nice way to do that versus saying, yo, did you listen yet? And being annoying. So you're being very, very intentional with the follow-up by following up with some new work, some new music. So that's a dope thing to do. if you're trying to kind of keep that communication and line of communication open. All coat painting, what's up? It says curious how to find the contacts and companies department's info to research and submit. So you can just Google music libraries, music licensing companies. You can find them that way. In my course, the Road to 10 Placements, if you don't have that, grab that. The link is in my bio. Just go to clintproductions.com/link in bio. Click on Road to 10 Placements course. I show you and break down how to find different companies, different ways to find them, how to reach out. My whole process, honestly, from start to finish, like no placements to, getting your first licensing deal and first placements. I kind of walk you through exactly what that looks like, because we would probably be in here for a little bit if I broke it all the way down. So yeah, definitely check that out. D-Nas from D-Nas Production, located in West Virginia. Making beats is my thing. Trying to change the game. That's what's up. Love it. Broadway Blake says, I took advantage of that holiday special you had. A lot of info in there. I still have a few questions about some things that I probably didn't come across yet. Absolutely, man. Definitely ask whatever questions you have, and we'll talk about it. No doubt. So don't be annoying with the follow-up. Follow up a month later with new music. Super important. All right, the third thing that you want to avoid if you're trying to get started in music licensing is not knowing the basics. So nothing is more annoying than, especially for busy people, than someone asking them a question that's been answered a million times that you can just easily Google. Like, you can just ask Google, hey Google, what is music licensing? That's, bruh. I said Google. I'm gonna let her speak. She's not gonna stop. So that's the definition. You just ask Google, and Google will tell you what music licensing is. So basics. What do I mean when I talk about basics in music licensing? I'm talking about knowing what a pro is, performing rights organization. That's in the U.S. That's CSAC, BMI, ASCAP. In other countries, it changes just depending on which country you're in. Not knowing what an IPI CAE number is. That's the number you're going to get with BMI or ASCAP. Make sure you know what that number is, because you're going to have to provide that number to the music licensing company. Knowing the splits of your songs. Like, you should know who owns what percentage of what. If you collab with somebody, is it 50-50? If it's you, it should be 100%. Doing your homework and just knowing like what's going to be expected. Will you have to fill out a W-9? Know how to fill out a W-9, because if you make money and a company's paying you money, 9 times out of 10, they're going to kick you a W-9, so that they, if they have all that information for their accounting department, when it's time to cut you a check. Knowing what stems are. Do you know what stems are? If somebody says, yo, we love this track, can you create stems and send them to us? Do you know what the basic breakdown of stems are? These are things you want to know, so that even the terms, I include a list of terms in the Road to 10 Placements course as well, because they're terms that you want to know, you want to become familiar with, so that when you're communicating with these companies, you're communicating with music libraries and supervisors and editors, you all are on the same page language-wise, keyword-wise, like, you know what they're talking about, and this isn't the first time you're hearing it. You don't have to be an expert in music licensing and all of its terminology, but at least know the basics. And then if you have questions, usually people are like super cool on this side of the industry, man. They'll answer your questions if you're stuck or confused about anything, but at least cover the basics, man. Make it look like you've done a little bit of research before you just hopped into trying to get, TV placements and know nothing about. Polo Made Music from ATL, what's good? So that's it. Not knowing the basics. Make sure you guys do your due diligence, do your research. Use the Road to 10 Placements course, the keywords and everything I show you in there to really get those the basics down, and some advanced stuff. I share advanced stuff in there as well. So that's that. Fourth and last one, and this is big. Like it's funny because the previous point is like not knowing the basics, do your research, but then this fourth one is not asking questions. Now you want to do your research so that when it's time to ask questions about things that you're confused about, you're asking like educated questions, not the basic stuff that like we just asked Google, what is music licensing? Not the basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like these are questions that, okay, we know the basic stuff, but I'm confused about this particular wording in an agreement, or, you know, how exactly do you want your stems formatted? Do you want a drum and bass? Do you want just guitars only? Do you want individual stems, like track by track? So don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, if you're not clear on, you know, what type of deliverables a company wants, like how they want you to send files. Do they want MP3? Do they want WAV? Do they want 16-bit, 24? If you're not sure, ask them. Like I'm telling you, like they'll be more than happy to let you know. That way it's better to ask and then know versus not to ask and then send them something that, you know, they can't use or that they don't want, and then you're just everybody's wasting time at that point. You wasted time creating stems that they don't even need or want, and then y'all both are wasting time talking about what they actually want when it all could have been avoided by just asking in the first place. So if you're unsure, unclear about anything, always ask questions. You guys know you can find me here on YouTube, 12 p.m. Eastern time every Wednesday. If you guys have questions as well, that's what I do this for, so you guys can get some game and then go back and crush it. So those are 4 things that you need to avoid if you're trying to get started in sync licensing. So hopefully that helps you. Let's dig into some Q&A. Scuba Steve, what's good? That's a dope name, Scuba Steve. There was a commercial back in my hometown with Scuba Steve. They stopped that. Like that was going for a long time too. It was super popular. What's good for you, Banks, for the Intel? Immaculate Beats, what's good? All right, we got a question from Broadway Blake. He says, do you need to formally copyright the music before you submit? And if you're the writer and publisher of a song, do I need to provide both IPIs from ASCAP? So that's a great question. So do you need to formally copyright the music before you submit? No, you don't need to. Some companies, you're transferring the copyright anyway, so they'll kind of deal with that. So you don't necessarily need to. If it's a non-exclusive company and you're sending these tracks to multiple non-exclusive companies and you're not, you know, transferring any type of ownership of copyright or anything like that, then you could, you know, you can go ahead and do it yourself. But it just depends on the company, what they're asking for, you know, the rights that they're asking for and things like that. But no, if you feel safer doing it that way, you can. I'm gonna tell you right now, it can get expensive unless you save up the tracks and then create a collection of works and then just submit that whole collection at once. That's the option you have. But the second part of your question, if you're the writer and publisher of a song, do you need to provide both IPIs from ASCAP? This depends. Normally, if you're working with a music licensing company or a music library, they are going to take on the role as the publisher. They become the publisher. They publish your music, and then they register your music with your performing rights organization, on your behalf as the publisher. So you'll be the writer, they'll be the publisher. So there's really no need, like you won't be listing your own publishing company unless you're doing some type of co-publishing deal where you know you're splitting publishing with them, and then in that case it'll be their publishing company and your publishing company listed. In that case, yes, you will need to provide both. Now, if you're going direct, say, to a music supervisor, right? And that music supervisor isn't taking any share of publishing, of the royalties, performance royalties, then yes, you could use both. You would need your writer's IPI and your publisher IPI and information and things like that, so that once you register, pretty much you will be registering that track. If you're working, if it's like a direct connect kind of situation like that where you're keeping everything, then you would register that track with both your publishing company and your writer info, which makes it super easy. So yeah. Oh, he said thanks for the intel. No doubt. Eldridge Davis, what's good? No problem, man. I'm glad this is helping. Jungle Boy, what's up? Says, what's the easiest type of music licensing to typically get, and how much would you typically get paid? So as far as payment, man, it's like 0 to like thousands, tens of thousands. It really depends. Everything just depends. The easiest type, I would say, background instrumental music for reality TV. Like if you're just getting started, you link up with a music library, a reputable music library that's getting placements on a bunch of these shows. I believe it's easy. The easiest way to get started is through music libraries. Think about this. Reality shows, there's a ton of reality TV shows, right? Online, on TV, cable, Netflix, Hulu, like all of these streaming services, right? So there's a ton of reality shows. Like these reality shows use a ton of music per episode. I had some placements on an episode of Love and Hip Hop. It used like 140 something pieces of music. So that's 140 opportunities you have to get a placement on one episode of one show. So they're going through a ton of music. So that's why I say like that's the easiest, because once your music is in a library, the editors on these shows, they're going to their go-to sources, which are these libraries and publishers and things like that. And then they're just pulling this music and then placing it wherever they need to place it. Now you don't get like upfront money, a lot of upfront money for those kinds of placements. But that's more so like a back end, like a royalty, building your royalty income kind of move. Because that's what it's going to do. Because those joints, they do add up. Like per placement, it may be a few cents. It may be a few dollars. If you land something on a major network like NBC, CBS or something, depending on the time, the usage, all that stuff, you could see a few hundred. I've had some stuff where I made a few $100s just off of a single use on TV. So it really depends. But that's the easiest way, in my opinion, to get started. What rights should you absolutely say no to giving up? It's a personal thing, man. Like some libraries, they're going to ask for publishing rights in perpetuity. That means forever. Some people don't like that. Some people are like, hey, I'll just make more music. I'm the type where I have some deals that are like in perpetuity, but it's like the way I see it is it's not tying my entire catalog down, right? This is one song that I sent to them, or just one track I send to the company. It's not tying me down from making new music and sending that music to other people. So I'm still free to work with whoever I want, get into whatever other kind of deals I want. I just can't use that particular track because that publisher has it. But that doesn't bother me because I can make more music, that it all comes from up here. So I can keep making that. But if I create this track and then I say no to that deal with a company that I know this music is going to get used at some point, they may have cut a check up front. So that put a little bit of money in my pocket. Worst case, I say no to that deal and then the music just sits on my computer making $0, or say yes to something that's in perpetuity, and then it's just they're paying me royalties for the rest of like my life plus 70. I don't know, it's some insane number, but yeah. So in that sense, it's a no-brainer. Now, one deal that I've had before, a publishing deal that I'm not too fond of. I'm not saying say no to it. Everybody's situation is different, but I don't like the deals to where it's a publishing deal and literally everything I do has to go through this one publisher. Unless they, man, they gotta be putting in mad work, like on the placement side. But that, I don't like being tied down to that, because that closed me to, to different opportunities. They had their hand in opportunities that I personally grinded for and built relationships to secure, and they didn't. And, they wanted a piece of the pie, but it's just like, yo, that doesn't make sense to me. So I didn't really like that. I like my independence. I like the freedom to work with whoever I want, when I want, and I get to pick and choose what music I want to send where. So those are the kind of deals I like. B Scott Music, what's good? Yo, the $1 million question. Which pro do you feel is the best for music licensing? I mean, I'm gonna say CSAC, man. I'm with CSAC. Bias. I mean, I don't think there's like a best pro for licensing. Don't get hung up on which one. Just do your research. See which, they all kind of have cool, conferences and events and things like that. They all do the same thing at the end of the day. Like, you may see a slight difference in their formulas on how they pay and stuff like that, but they all kind of do the same thing, man. But I'm with CSAC. I've been happy with CSAC for, it's been a while. Since like 2011, 12, I don't know, 13, something like that. But yeah. Lamar Webster, Happy New Year, man. Good to see you checking in. Shout out to new people in here, man. Let me know where you guys are from. Let me know what you do. Drop your questions in the chat. I'm doing a live Q&A. I'll be here for like the next 30 minutes. We're back, man. It's been a minute. I hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's healthy and safe. I have ASCAP. Do you need another pro? Nope. You can ASCAP's fine. You can only be with one pro at a time as a writer. So when you send a licensing company your pro information, literally you can only send them one anyway. Good question. Frank Irwin Music, I have two questions. Can you use tracks already released, or is it better to use non-released tracks? How long should the tracks be for licensing? So this is a great combo question. So can you use tracks already released? So by release, I'm assuming you meaning like, put on DistroKid and things like that. The answer is yes and no, which pretty much means it depends. Like, are y'all understanding like so many things in licensing in the music industry is it depends. But a lot of companies don't care, like, if your music is released and on digital distribution platforms like DistroKid and TuneCore and iTunes and Tidal and all that stuff. A lot of times they don't care. Sometimes they do care, because as a publisher, they may collect on those as well and then pay them out to you. So depending on what that deal looks like, they may be a little weird about that and advise that, you take them down. I've seen some companies where they ask you to take them down so that they can put them up and release, so they can collect everything. Then I have some companies who's like, yeah, like, release it. We don't care. We don't collect on that. We only want to collect on, the sync stuff, the sync side, the, upfront fees and any type of royalties that may occur, which usually the royalties are paid directly through your pro. But yeah, like, if there's any licensing deals, like, I've had some stuff placed on YouTube series and things like that where the publisher would collect that for me and then pay it out. So that's the answer to that. Really depends. Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes they do. Depends on who you're working with. Always ask, though. If you're unsure with a specific company, just ask them. That kind of goes back to, our fourth point from earlier was just, ask questions, anything that you're unsure about. get it clear before you sign anything. So, the expectations are set moving forward. How long should the tracks be? I recommend like a minute and a half, at least minute and a half, 2 minutes. That's usually where I am, especially for background instrumental music, man. It just doesn't require a lot, I don't put bridges and all that fancy stuff, long dramatic intros and stuff like that. Because a lot of this stuff is being used for background music. The only time I'm really, really critical on the length, or the times that I'll go shorter than a minute and 30 or longer, is if they specifically request it in the brief. Like, there's some briefs where there's like, yo, we need this to be 30 seconds exactly. Like, in that case, I'm giving you 30 seconds. That's what you asked for. So that's that. Iceberg pimping, what's good? Pimping icebergs out here. What are the music libraries? There's a ton of them. Google music libraries, you see a bunch. You got a lot. Like, you got extreme music. You got you got lab hits. You got BMG production music. You have you got no, not that one. You got Producer's Toolbox. You have, it's a lot. Google them. You got DI Music. It's a lot of them. Preach Productions, what's good, bro? Clint, any future conversations about music licensing in the metaverse? Yo, man, dude, my guy, what's his name? I think his name is Nolan. He posted something on his IG about this company. They're like the first company to do, like, they just did the first license, like, sync deal. Not in the metaverse, but the first sync deal on the blockchain, using a smart contract, which is fire. Like, that's the future. Like, it's gonna make everybody's life easy, because the joint is just, it's all set up, it's all there, it's tracked, it's transparent. So that's gonna be dope. As far as the metaverse, I guess, man, it has to happen. Like, music has to be involved in everything, bro. Like, music that's everything. So yeah, our industry will definitely get pulled into that. You're seeing brands like Nike and stuff like that already registering trademarks and stuff for the VR stuff that's happening, and just all the metaverse stuff. You're seeing them register their logos and things like that. So they're gonna need music for all this stuff, for all the content that they're gonna start creating, for people hanging out in the metaverse. So I think now it's just a matter of, I guess it's just a matter of our business and laws, like, I guess, being set up and figuring out how exactly, they're gonna, like, license stuff. Like, what do those fees look like? Hopefully they don't look like these streaming joints, because these streaming fees are terrible. They still gotta update that. I'm so behind, man. But yeah, definitely gonna happen though. It's just a matter of time. Happy New Year, November, James. Hope all is well, bro. Publishing rights is pretty standard indeed. What's the most common time length for music to be? Oh, we answered that already. Swift Dreamer, what's good? Is it possible that sending music to multiple libraries would cause a conflict of interest? And did you say there's a few libraries that pay $0? What are the benefits of that? Yes, I'm gonna answer all of this. This is great. So let me take a sip of water, because your boy is parched. All this talking. All right, so sending music to multiple libraries. This is how that works. If you're sending music to multiple libraries, nobody has signed anything, right? Nobody has offered you an agreement and said, we want these tracks. When you're at that stage, you can send it to as many people as you want. It's not going to be a conflict of interest. It's going to be a first come, first serve, pretty much. What I would advise is you keep track of who you're sending your music to. So if you're starting with a playlist of 5 tracks, create a spreadsheet, whatever you got to do to know that you sent these 5 tracks to these 5-10 companies, whatever, however many companies you send it to. So you know exactly who it's been sent to, and you can track. So if someone offers you a deal, you can go back to those tracks and say, okay, I'm pulling these off. They're no longer available. They're already signed. Boom. You know, you're organized. You're good to go. So now if another company comes back 3 months later, and this happens, it happened to me, and they're like, oh, this track is amazing, we want to sign it. It's like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, you're like 6 months late. Somebody already signed it. Then you just say no, because there's not going to be an issue because it's not in writing. You didn't sign a deal on it. So yeah, you can definitely do that. You can send the same tracks to multiple libraries until they get signed to a library. So yeah. Yeah, as far as libraries paying $0, it depends on the placement, right? It's not that libraries don't pay you anything. It depends on the placement. Some libraries, some of these, like, you know, the reality TV show stuff, they do like blanket deals, and they get like a lump sum of money to use like an unlimited amount of music for a certain time period. That's a blanket license. So they may get like a small little fee for a blanket license. Sometimes composers, we don't see that because it's so small to split it up between all of their writers. Like, it ends up being pennies anyway. So you won't see anything up front, but you will still see royalties in most cases. And you know, a standard agreement for sync, you're still going to get the royalty. So the benefit is you're building residual income, mailbox money. Like, you did the track one time, as long as that track keeps getting placed and played on TV, you keep getting paid. Like, it doesn't stop. Like, I had some music placed on the Kardashians, like, bro, like 7-8 years ago. I still get royalties from that show. Like 8, 7, what's this year? 8. It's a long time. Time is flying. Now I feel old. But anyways, I still get royalties for that. And then it starts to circle around the world in different countries. You get royalties for that. So the benefits is you creating passive income with your music. And then it's up to you what you do with that passive income that you make. So yeah, and then let me talk about the flip side to that, because Swift Dreamer, you mentioned relationship building, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because here's a situation. This happened to me personally. Reached out to a library, reputable library, super dope placements, and they liked my work. So they was just like, yo, like, you know, would you be interested in doing some tracks for an album we're working on? It was like I don't know, it's like hip hop strings album, something like that. So I was just like, cool. So I asked them, I was like, is there any upfront payment involved for me to produce these tracks for the album? And they was like, no, we don't have a budget for this, right now, but you'll get royalties. So I could have said no, like, oh, you don't have any money. No, but I didn't, right? Like, I was just like, okay, cool. Cause I knew their reputation, and I was like, this could lead to some other stuff in the future. So let's see what happens. Let's do 5 tracks and then just go from there. So I did it. I did it a few times. They came back around. They liked the work the first time. I think we did a couple more albums where I didn't get anything up front. So it was cool. So started building a relationship, noticed she started reaching out to me more. So then another project rolls around. So I didn't even have to ask. She was just like, yo, we have this and we have an upfront budget for this as well. And I was just like, bet, that's dope. And I ended up making it ended up turning into like $2,000 to do another album for them up front, and then I still get royalties as well. So it just goes to show you, like, even at first, like, it may not pay up front, you know what I'm saying? But if you deliver as if you were getting paid up front, like you put your best work out there and you stay consistent and meet the deadlines and nail the briefs and things like that, you're responsive when they email you and ask you for certain things, they'll come back and they'll work with you. And then when they do have a budget, because you delivered and you were on point and, like, you know, for the free stuff, they're gonna look out for you. So when they have a budget, you know what I'm saying, they'll reach out and be like, yo, you want to be a part of this? So now, like, pretty much like for the past couple years, every time they reached out to me to do something, it's been a budget involved. And I wouldn't have seen that if I would have said no to the free stuff. So keep that in mind. Even if, you know, there's no upfront money involved, it can definitely turn into something. So yeah, Isaiah the Alchemist, my bro Gabe Kunda put me on. Yo, shout out to Gabe. Yo, I'm gonna have Gabe on the show, man. I'm gonna reach out to him. Like, I was just checking out his YouTube channel yesterday, like literally like yesterday, cause he's like, dude is like a beast with the voiceover stuff, bro. Like literally, like you guys have heard this dude on your TV. I guarantee you've heard Gabe Kunda's voice. Even if you don't know him, you've heard him on some of the dopest promos and trailers and stuff, man. He's killing it. I'm gonna have him on if I can get him on here so we could talk about that, because he's involved with music as well. So I think it'll just be a super dope conversation. So shout out to Isaiah, man. Appreciate you coming through. And thanks to Gabe for sharing. EC3, what's good? Venus, cheers from ATL. What's up? Levon the man, what's good? I'm new here, but have seen you all over my IG feed. I do want to enter this market because I feel I have a different sound. Is it good to start locally while reaching out to bigger names? Well, I appreciate you coming, and shout out to IG for putting me in front of a bunch of people. I appreciate that. Instagram. Is it good to start locally? Man, you don't have to start locally. Like, go whatever you mean by bigger names, just try and reach the bigger names. If you're trying to get into TV and film, it doesn't even matter. Like, you don't even have to have credits. You don't have to have like, your music has to be good, but like, you don't have to be like an experienced composer with a long list of credits to break into sync licensing. They just want good music that fits, you know, the shows, the vibes, and things that they're looking for. And it doesn't have to be locally. You know what I'm saying? You can reach out to a library, and the library is connected with Viacom, you know, CBS, VH1, MTV, BET, CBS, Fox Sports, TNT. Like, they're connected to all these, you know, these networks. So all you have to do is give them the music. You know what I mean? And you can do that from anywhere. You can, no matter where you are, you know, you can give them tracks from your bedroom in the middle of Arkansas. I don't know. No offense to anybody who's from Arkansas, but like, literally, that was like the first place that came to mind. But you can be in the middle of Arkansas making music for TV and film and living a good life. So yeah, man, reach for the what do they say? Reach for the moon, shoot for the moon, land in the stars, something like that. What's the major difference between a license and a sync deal offer? So a license could be like a one-time thing, right? You know, say for example, we had a sync license for Napoli Ever After. It was me, the APX. That was just like a one-time thing for that specific film. That was, you know, it was through a music supervisor. So that was just like a sync license, just one license. We didn't do like a deal to where it's like, yo, we're gonna produce all the music for Napoli Ever After, or it wasn't like a deal with a library to where it was just like, yo, I'm now assigned composer to this music library. You know, I signed a deal, so now I can submit however much music I want during our term, and then you just go and, you know, pitch it and do whatever you need to do to get it placed. That's more of a sync deal. So a sync licensing deal is like, reach out to a library, they love your music. Oh, let's do a deal for 3 years. You send us music, you know, we pitch it exclusively. You're still free to work with other music libraries, but whatever you send to us, we'll pitch that exclusively, and we'll do that for like the next 3 years or something like that. So that's a sync deal. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Let's see. We got EC3 says, when you start making royalties, do you have someone help you with filing taxes on money you made for the year? And do they send any forms like you would get from your job? Great question. So when you start making royalties, so CSAC, I'm with CSAC, so I'll just say CSAC. CSAC is going to send me, is it a 10? It's like a 1099, but for royalties. I think it's like, I forget. I might have one right here, because I found this old envelope of like tax stuff. Okay, here's one from BMI, when I was with BMI. So they'll send you a 1099 miscellaneous form. I'm not gonna show this because it has personal information on it. But and then in the box for the amount of royalties that you made, it'll be like in box number 2, it'll say royalties. And then when you do your taxes, then you just fill in the information. You know, like if you're doing taxes as like a self-employed person, or you have like a, you know, it was like a Schedule C or something like that, or Schedule E, then you'll put that in under royalty income, and then you'll just put all that information in. So yeah, they send you forms just like any company that pays you money. They're going to send you some type of 1099, so you can fill that information in, and yeah, that's it. But do I have someone help me? I've been doing my taxes myself for a while. Like since I started my business, like back in 2009. But recently now I'm kind of outsourcing that stuff to a CPA, because stuff start getting complicated. Like it just starts, and it just takes forever. Like my desk looks like it don't even look like a desk. It's just a pile of papers. So yeah. Levon the man says, so do you drop the beat within 15-30 seconds? Oh yeah, I'm dropping the beat definitely no later than 15 seconds. 30 seconds is long for an intro. So yeah, I'm dropping that joint in like 15 seconds for sure. Keep it short, get straight to the point, and you know, keep that track moving. April K says, hey everyone, happy new year. What's up, April? Good to see you back in the stream. No doubt. David Swims, what's up? Thanks for the videos, been having success from them. Wanted to ask, when working for corporate promo ads, should I write the agreement or should they? Usually they do. Usually they have like their legal department write something up, and then they send it to you, and then if you want to have your attorney review it, then you can do that. But yeah, usually they have that, especially if it's a corporation. Like every major corporation has a legal department. So yeah. All right, let me catch up on the chat. Chat's going crazy. I guess That's natural when you got like 50 people dropping questions, but I love it. Let's see. Frank Earl, let's say you submit your music to music libraries that's not released. Should you register those songs to your pro and your publisher before submitting to libraries? I don't because if they get signed to a library, now it's just like, it's just kind of confusing because that library may want it exclusively. And then they're going to have to like re-register the track with their publishing company and all that stuff and retitle all that stuff. So I usually just don't. I just wait, send it to the library, and then I let them take care of all of that. All right, let's see. Immaculate Beats, what's good? It says, how do you feel about using the library with Disco where other music groups can view your library? I'm thinking about paying extra for that feature. Good question. I still have to set that up. I haven't set it up yet. Haven't used it yet. I need to do it. I watched like their webinar. They had a webinar on it. So I checked that out, but I just haven't had the time to set everything up yet. So I'm gonna definitely check it out. Off Key, what's good, bro? Good to see you. Rodney Edge, appreciate that, man. Glad it's helping. CPAs know the tax breaks. That's a fact, man. Like they know, yeah, they know everything, man. From tax strategies to save you from paying more taxes. What to do to hopefully not get audited. Because nobody wants that. So yeah. Uplifted Productions. Do you still use Hurdler to manage your music business expenses? Yes, I do. Still use Hurdler. I love it. It's easy, and it's one of the more reasonably priced, management softwares versus like QuickBooks and things like that. I know QuickBooks has like different versions and things like that. And me and the accountant, we were kind of comparing and things like that. But yeah. Still using Hurdler. I love it because you can link your business, like your business credit cards and like PayPal's, like whatever you're receiving payments from. So if you use Stripe and PayPal and your bank account, like you can link all those things. So every time you make money, it automatically goes through Hurdler. It tracks it. And labels it, as a business expense or personal. You can kind of select which one you want to do, or you can create rules to say, okay, every time you see a payment go out to this company, you can, label it as an office expense or whatever the category is. It'll create a report for you at the end of the year if you need, when you need it for the taxes. Does that. It has mileage tracking, so if you're going to music events and conferences and you're traveling, you can track your mileage and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Makes it a lot easier to kind of keep track of those things. And then you can attach receipts as well if you want to do that through the app. I have hundreds of beats concepts laying around. Have a link on getting started. Are there a lot of expenses associated with it? Great question, Kendall. Bro, like music licensing is probably like the cheapest. Like you can get started for free. I'm gonna be like 100% with you. Like you can just start Googling music licensing companies, getting your list of music together, and just start submitting like for free. I do have a course, the Road to 10 Placements Blueprint. If you want to get started, here I'll drop the link here. So you go here, clintproductions.com/link in bio, and then click on Road to 10 Placements course. That's going to be that's like my whole blueprint. And then you'll see exactly what I did step by step to get started. And it doesn't cost you anything. Music libraries do not charge you to submit music and sign music to them. There's some third-party companies out there where, they may charge you to connect you to another company. I usually don't use those. I like to go directly to music libraries, music licensing companies, and then submit directly to it. And it doesn't cost anything. So literally, like, it's an infinite return because you're learning how to do something that can monetize your music and something that can pay you like forever, because it really doesn't stop. Like, the only time you'll stop getting royalties, like, if literally you just stop, like, you just stop producing. And then even after that, like, if I stop today, like, I'm gonna still see royalty checks for a while, because like those tracks that are already getting placed, that are already in, you know, these networks rotation and things like that, it's still generating income passively. So you can't really lose. It's super dope. And I recommend everybody to get it, to get started in licensing, because it's a great opportunity. On my IG live, I was breaking down the numbers on how to pretty much take your royalties. You know, say you made $5,000 a year in royalties, how to take that money, put it in a Roth IRA, and then by the time you're 67, like, you'll be sitting on $1.2 million. So if you have $0, say you go to TD Ameritrade today, you open up a Roth IRA, right? Say you're 34 years old. You open up a Roth IRA, you have $0 in the Roth IRA. If you start contributing this year $5,000 every year until, you know, you retire at 67, 65, I think it may be a little over $1 million. But yeah, because of that compounded interest that a Roth IRA gives you, you'd be sitting on $1 million. A lot of people don't think outside the box, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can take music and allow it to make you money by just reinvesting the royalties if you want. Like, I mean, you can take some, reinvest it back into your business, of course, but if you just want to use music just to fund your retirement, like, yo, like, I want to retire a millionaire. If you just want to use your royalties for that, I was able to get $5,000 in royalties working a full-time job. So it's definitely doable. So I was just talking about some things. If you want to see that whole post, it's on my IG at ClintMusic. It was a live. It was like an IG live. So you can go check out the replay. But yeah, but that's it, man. I appreciate you guys coming through. I'm going to hop off here, man, and get back to work. But I appreciate you guys coming through. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you guys know exactly when all the new content is dropping. And some dope stuff, some dope interviews and stuff coming up this year. So hopefully this information is helping you guys. And that's it. So yeah, clintproductions.com/link in bio. Everything you need is right there. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.